Good evening. We're here at Puffdogs Vapor Lounge and Internet Cafe, and I've brought a friend of mine out, Mr. Sean St. Angelo, and we're here to discuss today's ruling handed down by the Supreme Court of Canada, stating that the extracts and medibles are now legal products for medical marijuana patients to consume. What's your opinion on that, Sean?
Well, I think for people like myself that use cannabis as our primary medication, today is an important day because today really lays the groundwork for people like myself not to have to worry about going to jail or being arrested for using cannabis in, let's say, a cookie or let's say a brownie. For me, I have MS, so smoking for me is not an easy thing to do. So vaporizing, edibles, the tinctures, those are byproducts of the plant that I can still use. There's no psychoactive effect. And essentially, it allows me to treat the disease without using synthetic pharmaceutical medications.
I understand that, and myself also being a medical patient, I understand that the derivatives of the plant, when done properly, are very effective treatment. And it's essentially, we're getting more into the science of the medicine itself. And you know, if we look back, you know, for many, many years, up and until Prohibition, cannabis indica and sativa were actually produced in an oil form and were used as a tincture or drops under the tongue, as you stated.
Yeah.
And we knew that this was an effective medicine. Now, one of the issues I have was today the Minister of Health came out with some very biased, opinionated statements, and you know, in today's educated world, harmful statements should not be made by the representatives of our government.
Well, I think it's a hurtful statement, especially as the Minister of Health, who's supposed to represent the patients particularly. It's disappointing to hear her say that there's no science behind this plant. That's a disturbing statement. And it's a profoundly ignorant statement. So, I guess when you're in a position like they are, and they've taken that position that they don't believe in it, even though science says otherwise, you know, we've talked about it before. You can deny the facts all you want and not like them for whatever your ideological or other reasons are, but the facts still are the facts, and the facts are that it works. And I think we're just scratching the surface, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Of what this plant will unleash.
Well, when we look at what's going on in places like Colorado, where we're treating young children with severe forms of epilepsy, and then we look to the children of our own nation, and if we follow their example, you know, we can do a significant benefit to society.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, Michael. You go back to the 60s and the 70s. Everything that the hippies at Woodstock said about that plant being used for clothing, fuel, medicine, etc., etc. Everybody laughed at them and said they were all kooks, right? Well, here we are, it's 2015, and guess what? They're all in their late 70s and 80s now, and guess what? They're right.
Absolutely.
They're still right today. So, again, you can deny it all you want, and you can say that it's outrageous that the Supreme Court made this decision, but thank God that the Supreme Court recognizes people's charter rights.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's disappointing. It's just a disappointing position to take as a federal minister. It's a disappointing position for them to take in general. Forget about the medical side for a second, just in general. Just the tax revenue alone, that some type of legalization, taxation, you know, business generation, you know, it could replace
The
the
lumber
oil
industry.
the lumber industry. It could give the tar sands a run for its money,
Absolutely.
and a lot less harmful on the environment.
Beneficial to
Yeah.
the environment. When we look at even places like the tobacco belt close by here, where we understand how in certain environments, when they plant hemp, it rids the ground of all of these toxic
Impurities.
chemicals and impurities and creates fresh, viable soil again
Yeah.
that can be used to produce food once more.
Yeah.
And we all know that when we do
Yeah.
positive things in nature, that nature returns that positive influence back to us. So you're absolutely correct. The late Jack Harrer would be very proud of what you just said about this plant, and you know, so am I.
Well, at the end of the day, I didn't discover this plant until I was in a dark place with my health, unfortunately. So I've had to essentially learn how to treat my own disease without having to use, like most medical patients, without having to use, you know, toxic painkillers and anti-inflammatories and medications that alter the chemistry of your brain, and you know, these are not drugs that are designed by nature to be taken long term. None of them are designed to be taken long term.
No.
So not even an aspirin is designed to be taken long term. Nobody has ever given me a valid argument or shown me any evidence that this plant, in its medical form, cannot be taken forever.
Well, there was a new study done, and I can't remember by what university and doctor, but I read it recently. I believe it was yesterday that they're saying now cannabis helps prevent lung cancer.
Yeah. Well, the cannabinoids coat the alveoli sacs, or I don't know the medical, but you're right, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, every day we make more progress, it seems. So, anyways, I'm thinking that, you know, perhaps with proper guidance and perhaps as we progress as a society, that one day in the not too distant future, hopefully we'll see an end to prohibition, not just at home here in Canada, but worldwide, you know, because in my most humble opinion, I believe that this plant is one of the keys to us being successful worldwide.
I agree.
And I thank you for taking the
Thank
time
you.
to speak today.
Thank you.
Thank you.